Alright, how's it going everybody, and welcome to another Guild Wars 2 Warrior guide video. Last one, I feel like I could have added more details, and this is going to be updated for May 2020 and onwards until something else happens. Then I'll make another video updating that. So as for now, this is going to work up until whenever I decide that warrior gets nerfed and build needs to change, but this is what you should do for in terms of the build for raids, fractals, and general big groups PVE content. Mainly it's for fractals and raids and events with big groups. So this is what this build is focused on. Let's dive right in. Okay, so first of all, we're going to begin with the build. So this is going to be in context. There's going to be the build, and then we're going to talk about the skills, and then finally we're going to be talking about the rotation. Keep in mind this is focused on Berserker Warrior Power DPS. I will be making a different video for Warrior DPS, but this is what is generally common in raids and fractals, and it's the build I choose to go for because I've had a lot of success with it. So let's go ahead and show you the build. The skills that we choose for Berserker Warrior. So first we go Strength, Discipline, Berserker. Now, if you're going to play banners, the only thing you should change here is this one. If you're not going to play banners and you're going to play full power DPS, you should go Last Blaze because it adds burning damage to your rage skills, Wild Blow and Outrage. You should not have two warriors who are both going banners. Because the banners only affect a certain amount of people, the max being 10 people. So if we look here, the number of allied targets, as it says here, that can be affected are 10. I want to get this out of the way first, because this is a banner-focused build, but if your team already has banners, don't try to fight for it, just let him do it, and then you do your power DPS build. So we're going to talk about power DPS first, full power DPS, and then I'm going to talk about Berserker banners DPS. First of all, in strength, nothing changes. In both banners and full power DPS, nothing changes except this one. That's it. So we go bottom, middle, top, middle, top, top, middle, top, top. Full power DPS. Banners, top, top, top on Berserker. No banners, we go for Last Blaze. So the idea is we're going to be using rage skills so we can do extra burn damage. And then we're going to have blood percentage, which you get ferocity based on a percentage of your precision. And then we have Bloody Roar, which increases damage in Berserker mode, which is literally perfect because that's what you need. You want to do the max amount of damage, you go for that. And in Discipline, we go Warrior Sprint because you want the damage increase. Double standards. Now here's the thing. There's a common misconception with double standard. People think, oh, I'm going double standards, so I have to go banners because it says here that unique banner effects applied to you are stronger. But if your other teammate is going banners, then you're good, right? Because the banners will affect you, and you have increased banner effect. It will affect you. It will make it so that the banner effect is improved by 100%. So that's the thing to keep in mind. You're always going to have this on because if you don't have banner, you're playing banners. If someone else is playing banner, you're playing full power DPS. So this will always be useful because you're always going to have banners in Fractal or Raid. You should play banner yourself if there is no other banner. That's the idea of this. And finally, Axe Mastery because it's the most ideal choice. Because you're going to be dishing out a ton of damage with axes and using axe swap for adrenaline pump. That adrenaline pump will give you another F1. Basically, what this is you gain adrenaline on weapon swap. So you swap your weapon, you hit one attack, you swap weapon, and your adrenaline is full. And then you F1 immediately. That's the idea. So you get adrenaline just for simply weapon swapping. Which is really good. And the reason this is so good is because in this one as well, the weapon swapping cooldown is faster. So you get to swap often and dish out tons of damage often, and making full use of the Berserker duration with a lot of F1s. That's the idea of this build. Tons of damage. Now keep in mind, you're not going to always play double axes on weapon swap. Sometimes you should go maces for CC. We're going to talk about that in a minute, because sometimes some bosses have a grade. If you all notice, I'm going to be very beginner friendly on this, by the way. And bosses, they have a defiance bar under their health bar. When it's gray, they can be CC'd. When it's brown, they can't be CC'd. And when it's caged and locked, it means they can't be CC'd at all. So, something to keep in mind. So if your team doesn't have CC, or you see that you need CC, this is still useful because you can swap from mace to axe faster. And of course, you gain might on weapon swap, and your burst skills gain reduced recharge, which is perfect because you need to have reduced recharge on your F1. Because that is going to be your main damage output all the time. It's going to be your main damage. So keep that in mind. Not your Whirling Axe. This is a common mistake Berserker Warriors make, is that their Whirling Axe output damage, they do it more often than F1. They do it more than Decapitate, which is not good because you can do way more damage with F1 spam over spamming Whirling Axes. Keep that in mind. If you want to become a good warrior, you make use of your F1 very often, and that's how you dish out tons of damage. So keep that in mind for all you beginner warriors trying to get into warrior and berserker in general. This is a common mistake that people do. They spam Whirling Axe, they don't spam F1. And finally, for strength explanation, you have peak performance. Peak performance is good because it increases your damage by 5%. And there's a recharge reduced by 20%. So you do more damage, and your physical skills have reduced recharge. And they also increase the output damage that you do. The one thing to keep in mind is the reason we go this is not for peak performance necessarily. We go for this for the damage increase, right? And there's the recharge reduced by 20% on your physical skills. So your axes will be lower cooldown. The peak performance is for usually if you go for Great Justice, which is this one here. Where is it? Or Kick. Kick gives you peak performance. Bola gives you peak performance. Bowl's charge. We don't care about peak's performance here. We care about the damage and the reduced recharge time. Here you might be thinking this says Greatsword, but you're using axes. Why? But here's the thing: you get power and chance to get might on critical strike. You also get free 120 power for it, right? You get might, right? And there's the recharge reduced by 20%. This applies to great swords, however, and spears. So the recharge reduced rate won't work here on axes, only for great sword. And then sometimes you should play great sword if there are a lot of mobs and you have to clear them with your F1. It's good to do that. But when you're dealing with bosses, you have more success using axes because it's higher damage. The axes have higher single target damage compared to Greatsword's single target damage. Greatsword's still good with 100 blades. Your Greatsword number 2 is really good. But the axes F1 it's more reliable to do damage with that. And of course the might applied to you grants more power, and you gain increased damage when you use burst skill, which is exactly what you need because you're relying on your burst skill to do the highest amount of damage possible. Keep in mind that our gear is focused on getting 100% crit chance, and with Spotter, you're gonna have pretty much 100% crit chance. With Spotter and the food as well, you're bound to get 100% crit chance. Like right now, we're at 99.90% crit chance with this build. Once we eat the food, it's gonna be higher, especially if it's ascended food. Even it's probably go over cap. But yeah, here it is. First we go Berserker Scarf. Well, Berserker headgear, whatever. It can be whatever skin, doesn't matter. But everything is Berserker. So Berserker here. Shoulders are Assassin shoulders, focusing on the precision. This is so we can reach cap on. This is so we can reach cap on crit chance, on precision. Next up we got Berserker. Berserker gloves, Berserker legs, Berserker boots, and we don't have to go Greatsword here. This is only for mob clearing and stuff like that. But if you're going to do raid boss, fractal bosses, I would remove these and put double axes here. So one axe will be here, one axe will be here. This makes it so that you can swap and still have both of them on full abilities. What you shouldn't do is this, because then you can't swap. We go Sigil of Impact on this one, and we go Sigil of Force on this one. Both axes, both Berserker axes. We go... the Agony is... Maximum you should go in Fractals for Agony. It's +9 on each gear. You should have around +9 Agony in pretty much every gear set. That's all you really need. You don't need +11, you don't need +12 or whatever. +9 is enough if you just have everything, and then that's it. Just +9 Agony on everything. Okay, so that's for the gear set. Now, why Rune of the Thief? That's probably a question that came in mind. Why Rune of the Thief? The reason we go Rune of the Thief is because not only does it give us 125 precision, being the maximum here, but increases your damage by 10% after striking a foe from behind or the flank, which is incredibly good in fractals and raid bosses. Because, well, you're going to have to be behind the boss to deal more damage. Plus, when you eat the food, you're going to have more damage. You want to get the maximum amount of damage possible, and Rune of the Thief allows you to do that. You can go other runes if you want, but I highly recommend this because the precision part is very good. We don't care so much about the condition damage. The condition damage is a welcome thing to have because we do have Wild Blow, we do have Outrage. We can add onto it. You can add the Condi damage, but it's not the main thing. We get this for precision. Okay, now for trinkets. Everything Berserker. So Berserker accessories, +9 Agony on both. Berserker back, Berserker amulet, Berserker rings. You can get those from Fractals. I would recommend attuning and infusing the rings. Attuning and infusing both the rings here. And I have not infused the backpack yet, but I will be doing that. But yeah, generally attuning and infusing should be done once you reach tier 4 Fractals. Because you can have more Agony in there, and it will help you for tier 4 Fractals. The underwater. Now here's the thing. There are missions in Fractals where you have to do underwater stuff. So, hey, I'm just saying, right? I haven't thought of the upgrade slot for them yet. I would probably go for the power slot, Sigil of Force. I might go Sigil of Force on those and Sigil of Impact on both of them. Just to do that extra damage. But yeah, you get these. I got the Berserker Steam Spear Gun, and I have the Berserker Polearm. I got these from World vs. War vendor. So if you go to World vs. War vendor, you can actually get those using World vs. War currency. I'm not sure if you can get these on TP, but perhaps you can. You can give it a shot. You just type Berserker Steam Spear Gun, or it has to be Berserker. So just remember that you want power underwater gear. And of course, finally we have the Outright Breather, which is also Berserker focused. I might swap this out though because there might be better ones. But yeah, I'm not a fan of the underwater content so much, so I don't really focus so much on this. But a good start is to get Berserker underwater gear weapons. So that's it for the gear set. Hopefully that clears it up. That was a lot of explanation. That was a lot of talking. So we talked about the build. We talked about getting that 100% crit chance. We're at 99.95% right now. When we eat the food, which you should always eat food when you enter Fractal or Raid, you should always eat food. You're going to have 100%, as well as your team buffing you and stuff like that. Your team might also drop Ascended food so you can eat it, and it's going to give you more. So, what food choice do we go? Here are the food choices we go. We go bowl of sweet and spicy butternut squash, which gives you 100 power and 70 ferocity. And then we go superior sharpening stone, which gives you power equal to 3% of your precision, and you gain power equal to 6% of your ferocity. So we're going to eat those right now. Okay. And we have spotters, so we have the ranger spotter is it's like, you know, you have banners, the ranger has its own thing. So these are the buffs I'm using right now, and these are the boons I'm using right now. Okay, we only go for the boons that we need to showcase. Now, in this part of the video, we're going to be talking about rotations. The rotation abilities, you've all seen it, or most of you have seen it. Let me reset the golem health bar. See people doing ability rotations on how to execute or how to make full use of your warrior. And they do it really fast. They don't really explain it step by step. So in this video, I'm going to explain step by step to do the full rotation opener, and I'll tell you what happens, okay? So I'll also try to slow motion this and stuff like that, so it's better explained. So if you notice here, this is a raid boss. We stay behind him. The first thing you should do, disable auto attack. If you control mouse 2, you see that arrow? This arrow indicates that it's enabled auto attack. If you control mouse and then mouse 2, it will disable auto attack. You should disable auto attack because it can actually screw you over, because you'd be canceling so many ones. So when you want weapon swaps, it cancels the one, but you didn't register that one, so it delays your weapon swap because you did this, right? It's just like, it's not efficient if you want to deal the most amount of damage in the little amount of seconds. They really matter. So what I'm going to do is first explain the rotation. You always start with headbutt. Even if the CC bar is locked, you start headbutt, and then after headbutt, you press outrage. Okay, so here's the full combo. We'll do the opener first, and then you guys can get an idea of it, okay? So let's do the opener first, the entirety of the opener. All right, here we go. Try to pay attention to my abilities and what I'm using, okay? 3, 2, 1. That's our opener. Okay? That is our opener, and I'm gonna now talk about what exactly happened. Okay, so I just figured out, guys, that Arc DPS is actually bugged at the moment. You see, when I do ones, it doesn't actually showcase the damage. It just says 0. So that's an issue with Arc DPS because the new patch just got released for the new Ice Brood Saga episode. So there's actually a little issue here. Sorry about that, guys. So the damage won't be accurate, but the rotation is just something you're gonna learn here with me, okay? But usually the total damage should be around 36k being max. Sometimes you'll get 32k, 31k total health bar of this. So we're gonna just explain the rotation at the moment, okay? So let's go ahead and do that. But here we go. This is what we do, right? So we start headbutt, and then you break it with outrage. You're gonna have your F1 full, so you press F1, F1, Blood Reckoning, F1, and then E, okay, which is your wild blow, and then you press 2, 3, F1, 4, 3, F1, 1, weapon swap, F1, spin, and then outrage. And then obviously F1 because your outrage and your spin made it go back up. So that's the opener. Okay, now I'm gonna do it fast, and I want you to watch my abilities and watch the rotation. Okay, watch very closely, and you have to try to do this as fast as you can. Okay, so here we go. Headbutt, outrage. Okay, that's what we do first. That's what we learned as our opening rotation. 3, 2, 1. Spin. Immediately press R as soon as it comes back up, and then you press 2, 3. Weapon swap. There's a lot of steps here. It might get overwhelming. See? And then we do this again. See that? Weapon swap. Spin. Press this again. 1. Weapon swap. 4. 1. 2. 1. Headbutts back up. Immediately headbutt. And then you can actually, if you do it fast enough, it just won't go on cooldown. This time, let's say you have F1 already. When you have F1 already, you just do it. And then headbutt, and then that. 2, 3, F1. 4, 3, F1. 1, weapon swap, F1. 5, burn damage. 2, 3, F1. 1, weapon swap. 4, 1, F1. 2, 1. F1 headbutt break. F1 Q. F1 wild blow. 2 3 F1 4 3 F1 1 weapon swap. F1 5 immediately press your R. 1 weapon swap. 4 3 F1 2 1 F1 headbutt immediately. F1 Q. F1 wild blow. 2 3 F1 4 1. I actually weapon swap there, but you get the idea. Whenever you see we weapon swap when I notice that something's on cooldown and I can't make use of it. See, I'm not auto attacking so much. I'm just making use of the weapon swap. But you notice, you see what my adrenaline went up there when I weapon swapped. But the idea is I hit one attack and then I weapon swap, because if you immediately weapon swap, your adrenaline is not going to be full, and then you have to land that one auto attack still. Okay? Now, if you notice, when I use Outrage, you don't have to use it when your headbutt's up. On the first time you use it, you break it. You always use Outrage right after you headbutt, because it's a stun break, and headbutt stuns yourself. So you headbutt, break out of it, and your Outrage is going to be back up, and your headbutt will still be on cooldown. That's why you should use it, because it extends the Berserker duration. Okay? And the same thing with Wild Blow. It extends your Berserker duration. This one's by 4 seconds, this by 1 second, right? And the stun break duration increase is 5 seconds. It also burns, so it also does the extra bit of damage. So keep that in mind. When your F1 is going to be full, you F1, F1, headbutt R, F1 Q, F1, E, 2, 3, F1, 4, 3, F1, 1, weapon swap, F1, 5, spin R, F1, 2, 3, 4 1 F1 1 weapon swap F1 headbutts back up, break it, Q F1 E 2 3 F1 4 1 F1 1 weapon swap F1 5 R spin, let it finish, F1 2 3 F1 1 weapon swap 4 3 2 1 F1 headbutt R F1 Q F1 E 2 3 F1 4 1 F1 1 weapon swap F1 5 R. You see the sequence? 2 3 F1 4 3 F1 2 1 F1 headbutt R F1 Q F1 E 2 3 F1. See that? You see that continuous? It has a certain pattern to it and a certain cooldown management to it. You see, whenever my R is up, I always try to rush to press it as fast as possible, because it's not only going to extend my Berserker duration, but it's also going to do extra damage. And by the time my headbutt's back up, you notice when my headbutt went back up, I immediately headbutt R, F1, Q, F1, E. So I would headbutt, break it, Adrenaline, Blood Reckoning, Adrenaline, then use E. It's very important to use E here. Don't delay it too much. If you do delay it, it's fine. Like, let's say you did F1, Q, okay, let's say you did headbutt, break, and then F1, Q, F1, and then you say you did 2, 3. After 2, 3, press Wild Blow. And then 4, 3, and then F1, and then 1, weapon swap, F1, spin, press R again. As you're spinning, you press the outrage. You want to do it fast, because see, your outrage comes back up pretty fast. So that's the rotation of Power Warrior. Now, Condi Warrior is a different story. I'm gonna get to Condi Warrior rotation and build examples and just general build later. This is focused on just power. Finally, I'm just gonna talk about maces. You wanna go? This won't be too long here, but I only have exotic maces because I'm not a mace user that much, but I have it just in case. But I'm trying to get ascended maces. But the important thing to consider about maces is the Sigil of Severance. You want Superior Sigil of Severance and Superior Sigil of Paralyzation. This gives you 30% stun duration, which applies to your headbutt as well. This applies to your headbutt because your headbutt's a stun. So your headbutt's going to have 30% stun duration, which is equally saying that you're going to do more damage to the defiance bar of a boss. So the break bar, the stun bar, whatever you want to call it, it's going to go down harder. And this is upon interrupting an enemy, you gain 250 precision and ferocity for 4 seconds. Interrupting is like when you daze with your pommel bash. Once you daze, you're gonna get 250 precision and ferocity for 4 seconds. So you daze, you tremor. These are your abilities with mace. You're not gonna use 1 and 2 that much. 1, you might do that to stall time to weapon swap, but you only care about these abilities. 3, 4, 5. Your 3 is a pommel bash, which gives a daze, which is considered as part of a stun according to Wiki. So you have 30% stun duration, but the daze actually is considered as part of a stun, so you're going to do more damage to the Defiance bar that way. And then you have your Tremor, which knocks down people, which also does damage to the Defiance bar. And your Mace F1 Skull Grinder adds Bleeding, Confusion, Blindness, Cripple, which all is conditional damage, conditional stuff, which still affects Defiance bar. So you should do it if the Defiance bar is still gray. Now you know when to go for maces. You go for maces if your team needs CC, but keep in mind that you will lack overall damage dealt because of this. So you're not going to be doing the weapon swap tactic. You're not going to be weapon swap F1. You can't do that. So you only weapon swap if you have to CC a boss and it's really needed. The other choice we can do is Greatsword double axes. I like Greatsword double axes generally because against big mobs, like multiple mobs, it clears so beautifully. So you don't always need to run double axes because double axes are really good for single target damage. Greatsword's great if you want to kill multiple amount of enemies. It's just too many mobs, and in some bosses there's like a lot of mobs and fractals and stuff like that. There's like a bunch of mobs, and sometimes having Greatsword there is good to deal with them. And then when you deal with the boss, you want to make sure you have double axes on. But yeah, it's like you can have Greatsword on the way to the boss, and then when you're at the boss, you simply do this. Main hand, off hand. Just make sure they're in the right slot, right? So one's here, one's down here. Not here, that won't work. Has to be here, off hand. And for sigils on Greatsword, you go Superior Sigil of Force, Superior Sigil of Impact. So you have more damage, and more damage versus stunned or knocked down foes by 7%. So these are the sigils you would go for on your Greatsword. So that is it for the weapons, the build. Okay, so we talked about equipment, we talked about the build, we talked about the full ability rotation. Now, what do you do for rotation if you go banners, right? If you go banners, first of all, you go for this. So instinctively, as soon as you go banners, swap this. That's all you have to do. Go for this instead of this. This will increase your Berserker duration. Because you're not going to have these rage skills to increase your Berserker duration, and you're not going to do burn damage, so it's worthless. So you go Banner of Discipline, Banner of Strength. In this case, we don't have ENR, it's going to be different. It's going to be easier a little bit. You're going to have a little bit less DPS, but generally it's going to be around the same as full power DPS, your full output damage. Okay, so here we go. So, by the way, if you already have F1, you press F1, and then F1 again, headbutt, and then F1, Q, F1, if you already have it full. Okay, but let's pretend it's not full, right? So headbutt, F1, F1, Q, F1, spin, F1, 4, 3, F1, 2, 3, F1, 1, weapon swap, F1, 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, F1, 4, 3, F1, 1, weapon swap, F1, Q, F1, spin. And then F1, 2, 3, F1, 4, 1, and that's the maximum really that you can do. See, the Berserker duration generally, it doesn't last as long as full power DPS, clearly for obvious reasons. The reason you don't see me headbutt again is because it puts me on a... You can't break the stun, and headbutting once is enough to like start off the combo. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope this video has helped out. Make sure to subscribe and like if you enjoyed. Hopefully I've tried to explain this as best as possible because I'm very passionate about Warrior Berserker. It's my favorite class. It's also the most time I put into any of the other classes because it is my first ever character and my first ever class. Hopefully this has been helpful. Thank you guys for watching. and good luck dominating on the arenas of raids and the arenas of fractals. Have a good one.